You're 71 years old, and Paris has already decided your time is over? The fashion world you once helped transform now belongs to younger men and new silhouettes. Christian Dior's structured, sculpted new look has taken the city you used to define, pulling women back toward cinched waists and elaborate skirts you spent your career cutting away from. For years, your name has carried something more dangerous than age: questions, war, rumors, silence. Most people in your position would stay in Switzerland and let the silence continue. Let the last chapter of the story simply be the quiet one. You reopen your house instead. Mirrors everywhere, models standing still under the lights, black and white fabric pinned into shape by hands that have done this for decades. Your own hands adjusting a shoulder seam while photographers and critics wait outside, already skeptical, already fairly certain they know exactly how this ends for a woman your age, in this industry, after everything attached to your name. To understand why a woman the industry considers finished is willing to walk back out in front of it, we have to go back to a girl who had almost nothing. Not even a name she was fully allowed to keep. Before you could reinvent the way women dressed, you first had to invent Coco Chanel. Before we begin this journey, if you also enjoy discovering the secrets behind the success of extraordinary people, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's a simple action, but it helps this channel reach more people who are striving to achieve greater things in life, just like you. And now, imagine opening your eyes one morning and realizing that you are that person. The journey begins. You are born Gabrielle Chanel in 1883 into a poverty that offers no safety net and no cushion for bad luck. Your mother dies when you're still a child, worn down by illness and hard work. After her death, your father places you and your sisters at a convent orphanage in Aubazine. From that point on, he largely disappears from your life. Stone corridors, black and white habits, discipline built into every hour of the day, every meal, every prayer. Here, you learn to sew, carefully and precisely, skills the nuns consider practical rather than artistic, meant to make you employable, not celebrated. You spend your formative years inside a world built entirely from restraint. Plain lines, no ornament, nothing wasted, nothing extra. You also learn something else here, something that will define you long after you leave. The story people are told about where you come from can determine how they treat you for the rest of your life. So later, when you're free to tell your own story, you don't always tell the true one. You'll spend the rest of your life editing your own history as carefully as you edit a dress, cutting away what doesn't serve the woman you're becoming and leaving just enough mystery that nobody can pin down exactly who Gabrielle Chanel used to be. As a young woman, you take work as a seamstress and, in the evenings, sing at a small cafe concert hall for spare change and the attention of an audience that has no idea who you'll become. It's here, singing a handful of the same songs night after night, that people begin calling you Coco. Nobody agrees on exactly why, and you'll offer different explanations over the years, none of them quite matching. What matters is that the name sticks before the identity behind it is even built. Without money or family standing, a woman like you has limited paths into the world of wealth and status. One of those paths runs through men who already belong there. Etienne Balsan, a wealthy former officer, brings you into a world of horse racing and country estates you were never born into. A world of leisure, staff, and afternoons that has nothing to do with the discipline of Aubazine. Later, Arthur Boy Capel, an English businessman circling the same social world, becomes something more significant, both personally and financially, than Balsan ever was. Their money and connections open doors that would otherwise have remained closed to a woman with your background. What you do once you're inside those doors is something else entirely. You watch wealthy women wrapped in stiff, elaborate clothing designed to display status rather than allow movement. Corseted, weighted down, dressed for standing still rather than living. You start wearing simpler things instead. Clean lines, borrowed menswear fabrics, clothes that let you actually move through a room instead of merely occupy it. People notice. They start asking where you got what you're wearing and whether you might make something similar for them. Gabrielle is quietly becoming someone else, not just a nickname anymore, a constructed identity, built the way you were taught to build anything at Aubazine, piece by piece, with nothing extra left on it. With Boy Capel's financial backing, you open your first shops. Millinery first, then expanding into Deauville and Biarritz, fashionable seaside towns full of exactly the women who might buy what you're selling, women bored with formality and quietly hungry for something easier to live in. While other designers of the era pile on decoration, beading, corsetry, and layers of formal structure, you do the opposite. You remove. You start using jersey, a fabric until now considered too plain and too cheap for fashionable women. Originally meant for men's underwear and stable workers, you cut it into simple, comfortable clothing that actually lets a woman walk, sit, and move without a servant needed to lace her into it first. Other designers decorate the woman. You start by removing whatever gets in her way. You aren't the only designer moving in this direction. War, sport, and modern life are already changing how women dress, but you understand the shift with unusual clarity and turn it into a language women recognize immediately, one they're willing to pay for. Boy Capel is there for much of this rise, financing, encouraging, opening rooms you couldn't have entered alone, believing in the business before it had proven itself to anyone else. For years, he's been tied to almost every version of the future you imagined for yourself. Then, in 1919, driving through the south of France, his car crashes. He dies almost instantly. The future continues without him, whether you're ready or not. There is no dramatic final conversation to record here. No private words you can honestly claim to remember for the camera. Just an empty room, unfinished plans, and a business that keeps moving forward regardless. The man tied to your rise is suddenly gone at the exact moment your power is becoming real, permanent, and entirely your own to carry alone. By the early 1920s, you have fashion success. Then, you make a decision that changes the entire scale of what success can mean for you. You work with perfumer Ernest Beau to develop a fragrance unlike the single flower scents popular at the time, something more abstract, more complex, built from dozens of ingredients rather than imitating one recognizable bloom. He presents you with several numbered samples to choose from. You choose the fifth, and, fittingly, name it Chanel No. 5. This matters more than it might sound. A dress reaches one woman, fitted to her body, sold once, worn by her alone. A bottle of perfume can reach millions of women who will never set foot inside your Paris salon, who will never be able to afford your clothes but can afford this. For the first time, a woman doesn't have to wear Chanel to carry Chanel with her. To bring the perfume to that kind of scale, you partner with businessman Théophile Bader and the Vorheimer brothers, Pierre and Paul, who provide the capital, manufacturing, and distribution network behind Parfum Chanel. The infrastructure a designer working alone could never build. Your name is on every bottle sold anywhere in the world, but the ownership structure gives you a smaller share of the company profiting from that name than you'll later feel is fair, an arrangement you'll spend decades trying to renegotiate. Your name is on the bottle. Someone else holds most of the company underneath it. This single arrangement, name versus ownership, will trouble you for the rest of your life, resurfacing again and again, including in ways that will look far darker under the pressure of the war still to come. Through the 1920s and 30s, you build an empire on top of that early breakthrough. The Chanel suit, simple structured jackets that let women dress like they mean business, because increasingly they do. Costume jewelry, treated as seriously as anything precious, pearls layered without apology, proof that value doesn't have to come only from what something actually costs. A little black dress, simple enough that Vogue frames it as a kind of uniform for modern women everywhere, though you're building on ideas already moving through fashion rather than inventing the concept from nothing. The orphaned girl from Aubazine is now the woman other women study, copy, and imitate in every fashionable city in Europe. But notice what's happening underneath the success. You have escaped the identity society assigned you at birth. In its place, you've built another one, so carefully controlled, so precisely edited, that the line between Gabrielle and Coco is nearly impossible to see anymore, even for you, even in private. That kind of control feels like freedom. It's about to be tested by something no amount of careful editing can fully control. When war breaks out, you close your couture house, laying off most of your staff, keeping only the perfume and accessory lines running. You move into a suite at the Ritz in occupied Paris, and you begin a relationship with Hans Günther von Dinklage, a German officer with intelligence connections. Surviving wartime records later connect your name to German intelligence activity. Historians still debate the exact nature and extent of your role. What's clearer is this: you attempt to use wartime Aryanization laws, which stripped Jewish citizens of their business ownership, to try to seize full control of Parfum Chanel away from the Wertheimers, who are Jewish. The Wertheimers, having anticipated exactly this kind of danger before the war even began, had already legally transferred control of the company to a non-Jewish business associate, protecting both the company and ultimately the very income you still depended on from it. After liberation, French authorities question you about your wartime conduct. You are never formally convicted of collaboration. Exactly how you avoid more serious consequences, including a popular claim that Winston Churchill personally intervened on your behalf, remains contested and unproven. You leave for Switzerland. For years, Paris does not hear from Coco Chanel. For decades, you controlled precisely what the world was allowed to see of you. War writes a chapter you can no longer edit so cleanly, one that will follow your name for the rest of your life and long after it. Fashion moves on without you. Christian Dior's new look, tightly cinched waists, full structured skirts, a return to elaborate sculpted femininity, dominates post-war Paris, in some ways pulling fashion back toward the very restriction you spent your career cutting away from, as if the whole industry had quietly decided your ideas belong to a finished era. Then, 71 years old, you return. Your first collection back is not the triumphant comeback people might expect. French critics are harsh, some outright dismissive, treating your return as an old woman clinging to relevance in a Paris that has clearly moved past her. For a moment, it looks like a mistake, a reputation gambled and lost twice over, first to war, now to age. But American buyers and the international press react very differently. They see exactly what you intended all along: comfortable, wearable elegance, tailored jackets, a uniform that lets a woman move through her actual life rather than merely display herself in it for an evening. Slowly over the following seasons, the reception shifts. Paris called you outdated. America starts buying. The woman they said belonged to the past begins appearing piece by piece on the women who will go on to define the decades ahead. The Chanel suit, worn by a generation that simply assumes it was always there, with no idea how close it came to never returning at all. You don't come back by becoming younger, or by chasing whatever happens to be currently fashionable. You come back because the qualities you built your name around decades earlier, movement, simplicity, ease, find an audience again, one that finally catches up to what you understood all along. You keep working well into old age, based largely around the Ritz and the house you rebuilt from nothing. Twice over now, once in your 30s, and once again at 71. In January 1971, you die in Paris at 87, reportedly still working in the days before the end, still fitting garments, still unwilling to simply stop. The business itself lives on without you, the way you always half suspected it might. Eventually, the Wertheimer family holds full control of the company carrying your name. decades after that unresolved wartime conflict over ownership first began between you. Your name outlives you as something closer to a corporation than a person. Licensed, protected, multiplied across products you never personally touched. Perhaps your greatest and strangest creation was never a dress, a suit, or even that bottle of perfume, sitting on dressing tables you'll never see. It may have simply been Coco Chanel herself, an identity constructed with enough precision to survive Gabrielle entirely, and to keep working long after the woman who built her was gone. As a girl, you inherited almost nothing. No fortune, no protective family name, no secure place anywhere in society, no guarantee anyone would come back for you. So, you built one instead. First an identity, then a style, then a business, then a name powerful enough to travel the world without you ever leaving the room. You removed layers from what women were expected to wear. Heavy fabric, rigid structure, decoration that existed to display status rather than allow movement. You helped prove that comfort and luxury didn't have to be opposites, that a woman could be elegant and still able to move through her own life. But your own life only grew more layered the longer you lived it, even as your clothing grew simpler. Gabrielle, Coco, designer, businesswoman, lover, celebrity, wartime controversy, myth. You helped construct yourself, one careful omission at a time. Which one was the real woman? You spent your life teaching the world that elegance comes from removing what's unnecessary. Your own story was never that simple. It was full of ambition, reinvention, love, loss, compromise, and contradictions you couldn't cut away as cleanly as fabric, no matter how carefully you tried. But one thing survived all of it, outlasting the war, the silence, the criticism, and the woman herself. The name you invented. Your name was Gabrielle Chanel. The world knew you as Coco, and this was your second life.